He thought she was just a shadow cleaning his floors, until she spoke one word that froze his blood solid. We often think power comes from guns, money, or a terrifying reputation. We see a maid and think invisible. We see a mafia boss and think invincible. But true power isn't about who shouts the loudest. It's about who knows the secrets the world forgot. Today we're looking at a confrontation that redefined fear. Meet Ivar, a man who ruled the city's underworld with an iron fist, and Tamsa, the woman who cleaned his office every night at 2 a.m. Everyone thought Tamsa was just background noise, part of the furniture. But they forgot one thing. The person who cleans your mess sees everything you try to hide. Can a maid really take down a mafia boss? I'm going to find out. Welcome back to the story room. Ivar wasn't just a criminal. He was a ghost story told to keep rivals in line. He operated out of a glass penthouse that felt more like a fortress. In Ivar's world, silence was a requirement, and loyalty was bought with blood. He was the kind of man who could end a career with a whisper and a life with a nod. Then there was Tamsa. She was small, quiet, and wore a gray uniform that seemed to make her blend into the very walls she scrubbed. She had been working for Ivar for 2 years, and in all that time he hadn't looked her in the eye once. To him she was a tool no different from a vacuum or a mop. He felt safe around her because he assumed she was less than. He believed she was uneducated, perhaps even unable to understand the complex business he conducted. The power imbalance was absolute. Ivar had bodyguards, offshore accounts, and a body count that spanned decades. Tamsa had a spray bottle, a bus pass, and a heavy secret. Ivar would mock her openly, discussing hits and million-dollar bribes while she polished the mahogany desk right in front of him. He'd laugh with his associates, calling her the ghost or the cleaning dog. He was so blinded by his own ego that he never noticed how Tamsa's hands never shook, or how she always seemed to be in the room when the most important documents were left out. He thought he was untouchable, and he thought she was nothing. He was about to learn that nothing is the most dangerous thing you can be when you're hiding a past like hers. The tension reached a breaking point on a Tuesday night. Ivar was hosting a high-stakes meeting with 3 international investors, men who didn't exist on any government registry. They were speaking in an archaic, dead dialect used by an ancient Eastern European syndicate to ensure no one could eavesdrop. Ivar was arrogant, leaning back in his leather chair, laughing as he detailed a plan to betray these very men. He felt like a god among mortals. Tamsa moved around the room, refilling water glasses, her head down as usual. But Ivar was in a particularly cruel mood. To show off his dominance to his guests, he decided to use Tamsa as a prop. As she passed his chair, he deliberately stuck out his foot. Tamsa stumbled, the tray clattering, and water splashed across the investors' expensive shoes and Ivar's Persian rug. The room went quiet. Ivar didn't apologize. Instead, he began insulting her in that rare, secret dialect. He called her a brainless peasant and a waste of oxygen, laughing as he told his guests that she was too stupid to even know she was being insulted. He even joked about disposing of her since she had ruined the rug. His guests joined in the laughter, convinced they were in a room of total privacy. But as Tamsa knelt on the floor to pick up the broken glass, something shifted. The invisible maid didn't look down in shame. Her hands, usually busy scrubbing, became perfectly still. She realized that these investors were actually looking for a reason to eliminate Ivar, and Ivar was handing it to them on a silver platter. He just didn't know Tamsa held the key to the lock. The air in the room grew heavy, like the moments before a massive storm breaks. Tamsa stood up. She didn't scream and she didn't reach for a weapon. She simply looked Ivar directly in the eye, the first time in 2 years, and the entire room went cold. She didn't speak in English. She spoke in that same ancient, complex dialect Ivar thought was his secret shield. Her voice wasn't the voice of a maid, it was the voice of a commander. In perfect, chillingly sharp syntax, she addressed the investors. She didn't just translate Ivar's insults, she revealed his ultimate betrayal. She quoted the exact ledger numbers, the hidden Swiss accounts, and the names of the informants Ivar had been using to skim 20% off the top of their joint ventures, details she had gathered while cleaning his discarded shredder piles. Ivar's face drained of all color. He tried to stand, to bark an order to his guards, but his voice failed him. Tamsa stepped closer, her presence filling the room until Ivar looked like the small one. She whispered a single name, a name from Ivar's past, a legendary liquidator for the syndicate who had vanished 10 years ago. "You thought I was part of the furniture, Ivar?" she said, switching back to English so he would feel the full weight of her contempt. "But furniture doesn't forget. And I never forget a debt." The investors stood up in unison. They didn't need to hear more. Ivar realized in that moment that Tamsa wasn't a maid, she was the Black Swan, a high-level intelligence asset who had gone into hiding. By treating her like she didn't exist, Ivar had given his executioner a front-row seat to his life. He fell back into his chair, literally silenced by the weight of her knowledge. He was finished and he knew it. Tamsa proved that the most dangerous person in the room is often the one you choose to ignore. By underestimating her, Ivar handed her the keys to his downfall. She didn't need a gun, she just needed her voice. Never mistake a person's silence for their lack of power. Have you ever seen someone totally underestimate a quiet person only for it to blow up in their face? Share your stories in the comments. If you love seeing the underdog take control, hit that subscribe button and join the story room for more incredible shifts in power.